back again. Greetings. I am Ellie. Gate to Babylon, the gate to everything. And today we'll come back with another video. Today is sort of a reaction, but more a discussion to a reaction. And yeah, let's get to it. So the video today is how Germany could not and could won World War II. Could and could not. Mostly Germany could not by all means. Nazi Germany could not win World War II. And that's simply, it's not exactly like that. However, all the other reasons doesn't matter in the end. So at a very simplified, I don't like very simplified, but it works here regardless. But at very simplified level, just Germany cannot go against the three superpowers at the same time, backed up by all their colonies and influence countries, which is most of the world. And except to win, that's not gonna happen. However, there is, in my opinion, a way for Nazi Germany, or as we discuss it, have to be a different Germany. Um, uh, Germany could won World War II. Just for the sake of alternate history discussion, and just to bring a new perspective. And actually, this one is more about not history, not really alternate history type of topic. This is more about military and technology of warfare, and it's more about tactics. So yeah, let's get to it. And this is a response, a talk to a video done by Potential History. Sorry about that. So it's done by Potential History, and it's Germany could not win World War II. And there's, of course, most of you should have watched this video, and it's has two parts. There's also a very good video to watch, and that is done by a channel, Vlogging History or something like that. Just one sec, bear with me. Yeah, the channel is Vlogging History something. I'll put an image to it in the screen. And his reaction was fantastic. I agree. 99.999, probably an additional 9 as well percent. Just a very very little tiny stuff. And I reckon that there's too much reaction to it, and there's too much input to it, so I should do something a little bit different. If you want me to react to Potential History, Germany could not win World War II, Part 1 and Part 2, just tell me in the comments below, and yeah, and we would do it. I'm more here gonna talk. Probably we're gonna have two parts as well, but over here I'm gonna talk directly to the analysis and just the juicy stuff directly, and focus on those in this video, in this type of video over here right now. So yeah. So very quickly, we just explain what was Germany could not World War II by Potential History video was. Simply is there's some different scenarios that people talk about that there are whom are in reality, when you think about them, when you analyze them, are totally invalid, flawed. There's problems there and there, not very realistic. Also, there's another thing to quote upon, but we're gonna come back to that. And so basically, there's different scenarios, and some of those scenarios could potentially work, but not really. And the problem is basically when he in the end of the video and from vlog history uh, talked about that if Nazi Germany, what wasn't Nazi Germany, they would have won World War II. And that is true, and that's exactly what I'm gonna talk about in this video and discuss it simply because nobody on the net discussed it, and I have some interesting ideas, some alternate history. When you put your alternate history brain, when you put your brain in alternate history, it gets cooked very hard. Just like the meme, the potential history borrower in the second video, in the end of the second video, when your brain on alternate history becomes like a grind egg. Yeah, man. But however, years back, I took my time and just for sake of some alternate history fun, and we're just gonna talk about these scenarios and discuss them and tell like how Germany as Germany could have won World War II. And before we get to that, we'll just talk about the different scenarios that he talked about, potential history discussed that they those scenarios don't work. And let's first begin by just take Moscow. That wouldn't work. Not really. I'm just gonna like say that those the scenarios that he talked about. I've written them down, so just read them. Hitler should have listened to his generals, just build more stuff, just coordinate with Japan / invade Russia together. Just comment on the last one so far, to coordinate with Japan or invade Russia together. Coordination is almost impossible, not favorable, and Japan and Germany are totally different, and they're allies only by circumstance. However, invading Russia together could have been a potential possibility for sure. It could have happened, but it just the Navy Department of Japan dragged and won the internal political fight to go against United States instead of going against Russia. Plus, Japan and Russia kind of had some fights before, and it is not easy for sure. So, however, also they have China they're fighting in the south. So, however, it could have been potential possibility. Actually, it was very close to happen. So instead of an attack on Pearl Harbor, we could have had an attack on Russia, and that could even him from potential history. It said that this is actually like honestly could have gave the winning card of World War II to Germany before even the United States enters the war. However, that one has some problems. This one is, I think, from all the scenarios we have lined up here. Whom are 8. There's 8 of them. We're in 4, so there's 4 more to go. But this one here, invading Russia together, Japan and Germany, it's the closest that could have gave Germany, despite all the mistakes, the winning card. Now let's move on. Number 5. More of Wonder Warfare, crazy modules, all this, crazy modules of there's crazy weapons designs and ideas that actually very revolutionary and very good and far more advanced than America and UK could comprehend at the time. But it's just not gonna work because Just Germany had some other some big deal issues which will limit the amount of stuff. Limit the protection of these, and these not that much super advanced. So without having decent number of them, it wouldn't work. And with the issues that Germany had, you can watch the videos, oil shortages and whatnot, resources basically. It wouldn't be possible. There's there is also something like do not declare war on instant superpowers. Basically, don't declare war on United States, for example, something on the line like that. Don't declare war on the Soviet Union. Finish the West before you go to the East. And you can watch his video. He gives a very good description of that. That wouldn't work. Invaded Britain, number 8. That's totally impossible by the way it is at the time. And let's for a little bit talk about a bonus about Yamato. Yamato means hope. So the bonus about Yamato is Japan could have, with the Yamato class, do some serious damage, drag the war much more, and without and also giving no chance for United States to use it as nuclear weapon, because at the time, if you want to use a nuclear weapon, like the only way of using the weapon is dropping a bomb. Cannons are very short range unless you have like an island or something, plus they can be bombarded back. So the only way is bombs. And with the Yamato class, and this idea, just a tiny idea, not even like advanced technology or whatnot, just a random idea you added to the Yamato, and Yamato could have survived and dealt a lot of damage. And also you could implement this after the success of the Yamato to the rest of the Japanese Navy, and could have substituted for their lack of carriers and their jets, in comparison to what United States did on the Battle of what is called the Battle of those islands above Hawaii, Norway. Oh man, how did I forget the name of these islands, man? The Battle of Norway. Oh, come on, how did I forget that? For God's sake. Anyway, that's embarrassing. Anyway, let's move on. That thing is simply neutralizing the cannons, the main big cannons, against the jets. Why? Well, you're gonna say, like, how are you gonna use big cannons to take the jets? Like, that's impossible. Well, the trick will be with what these cannons gonna fire. If you just make a super advanced, not really super advanced, but really fantastic idea. The idea is in what these cannons gonna fire. The cannon shells that these gonna fire gonna be special, which would allow these cannons to fire and destroy at a crazy level the jets and possibly even bombers from afar even, and very successfully, and make it very terrifying to go against, which will make the generals of the USA go nuts, because they wouldn't comprehend what the hell that was. It would look like magic. What is a special idea? It's not even like special technology or some advanced, just the idea. Just take someone to think about it. This thing is not yet implemented in the military so far, and it's a very powerful idea. Very destructive weapon, very effective, very everything. It is not that complicated. It's hard to make, but you can go through it. but the idea is fantastic, and nobody, not much people thought about it. Now, okay, leave the introduction of this idea. What's this idea? Well, just turn out these cannons to a big, super powerful shotguns, weapons. That's the idea. So what happens is the cannon will shoot multiple shells at the same time from each cannon barrel. While you would say that still wouldn't be enough. Well, the thing is, as I said, it's not. It's up. I mean, it's about the bullet itself. These big bullets, the cannon shells. So those cannons will fire each multiple shells, but at the same time with the same shot. However, in those cannon shots themselves will have the special idea inside of them. What's this special idea? Is simply after a certain range, you can program the shell, but like with not, I mean programming, but you can program it in other ways, measurement type of thing or something on the line like that. That after a certain distance, it will explode. But you say, yeah, cool. What's special about that? Okay, wait a minute. So when it explodes, it will shoot very tiny, dense, tough bullets that would move at a ultra hyper supersonic speed, and you will have like many of them. I mean, by many, I'm talking about like millions. Every shell will, millions of those would get from it all over the place. Perhaps you will have few, like half of a shell will shoot those tiny stuff, almost like dust, but even more terrifying at super speed. And you have like few shells, very tiny shells, like 20 mils type of bullets, all over the place, like with explosive on them, and just cover the entire sky, the entire battlefield, and just take most of the jets at once that flies in the air by covering the air with explosive bullets. And so with several rounds from all the big cannons, with these shells fired as shotgun at a certain distance, explode and just cover the sky with bullets and explosives, that would be very effective against jets and probably even bombers. That will neutralize the main gun and power of the ships and the destroyers against a very dangerous target, the air power, the jets. Also, this can be used against other ships to deal damage outside of the range of the enemy and your normal weapons range. You can also deal dangerous damage. What I mean by dangerous damage, this can destroy the towers of the ships. Control towers, like where the captains are, the guys who read the radar and all that stuff. The control towers. You can, with this damage and destroy anti-jets weaponry. You can deal a lot of injuries and deaths to the soldiers inside of a ship. You can deal minor annoying damage to the ship's main guns and weaponry. You can deal a lot of annoying repair damage that would take it's not hard to repair, but just would take take a lot of time to repair, and deal and also these type of thing would be terrifying. The enemy wouldn't understand what the hell that is. It would be terrifying to go against, psychological warfare. You almost cannot do anything against it. You will be shot outside of range, so it's a very good skirmish and soften the enemy up. It's a really good mechanism of defense. You can use that also to destroy the shells and the weaponry that shot from other ships against your ships. Very possibly can use it as a shield of defense to some degree, better than nothing. It would definitely be able to take few cannon shell destroy in the middle of the air. You can use it to deal damage on the jets that's above on the carriers. You can use to neutralize to some degree the carriers. You can make the United States Navy much more cautious. It will get them frustrated because they won't understand what the hell is going on, at least for some while, and it will get wild. It will increase the casualties, and will put a lot of pressure on the repair teams, and will put a lot of pressure on like they will lose a lot of materials and jets and yeah. So these would be nasty and effective. However, most likely that wouldn't mean that Japan will win against the United States, regardless. Very highly likely that still wouldn't change a lot, but it would just make Yamato as cool as it should be, which is cool. Anyway, let's move on. So yeah, the other things that he talked about in the end, which is the sciences. Don't throw up your sciences. Make nukes and super soldiers. Making nukes and sciences, most likely it would just extend the war to be the first country to be nuked. However, most likely if at least the sciences that were German that contributed to the nuclear weapon wouldn't at least give the United States the nuclear technology, it would make the United States days much harder. Most likely it still wouldn't make Germany win World War II, but it will make it terrifying for the United States invading Japan. The super soldiers part, which is very, very, very nice. I mean, it's not nice, but it reminds me with Warhammer 40k and Warhammer in general, but especially Warhammer 40k, the Space Marines, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and Grey Knights. Super soldier, like it's almost because the Empire of Man resembles a lot of Nazi Germany and communist Soviet Union and totalitarianism in general and stuff like that, and Catholic stuff, and the Catholic Church medieval period, early medieval period stuff, and has that Nazi, not Nazi but racist theme, and big boy stuff. Warhammer 40k, like for Warhammer 40k fans, like whenever I hear super soldier, I always think about, mainly, especially in terms of you're talking about guns, World War II. When I hear super soldiers, I always think about the Space Marines from Warhammer 40k, for the God Emperor of mankind. Yeah, it's very cool. Warhammer 40k is very cool. We'll do some reaction to Warhammer 40k in the future. Yeah, don't worry about that. But the super soldiers thing is extremely effective, extremely useful. I don't know if it's 100% possible, practical, stuff like that, but theoretically speaking, very powerful. But at the same time, again, it would just extend the war, or make it more horrible for the invaders. However, still, Germany cannot win World War II. However, if Japan had those super soldiers, it would be a bit different in my opinion. Probably most likely still they would lose the war, but a bit different. We'll leave it for another discussion for another day. So that's basically what they talked about in the video. That's a summary, a very quick summary. Now let's get to the main topic. When like we got all of this aside, explained, and yeah, let's get. Before we get to the main part of the video. Before we get into the main part of the video, I need to speed up of this a bit. It's 25 minutes so far. Anyway, the time, very important. Anyway, let's move on. Before we get to the main video very quickly, from vlog history had some disagreement, which I have like almost the same opinion with vlog from that guy above the image on the screen. I forgot, man. My memory, man. Anyway, god damn it. Anyway, now let's move on. Time is moving. I agree with almost everything that's in the video, and yeah, it's just the one thing which could have made Germany win World War II, but good God they didn't. But really, when you think about it, whether Germany won World War II or didn't win World War II, overall, the world really would have been almost the same, a little bit worse, but not really that much overall. Because of reasons, and we're gonna discuss it in a different video if you want to. Just simply look at Africa and look at Southeast Asia, India, and poverty around the world, Middle East, Muslim world, and stuff like that. Regardless of whether Nazi Germany or not, the world was over there will still be the same. It will still be horrible. So, and that's like, most of the problems we have nowadays that Earth faces are found in Africa, in the Middle East, and in Africa and the Middle East, the Arab world and Africa. That's where most of the problems of the world lies. And regardless of Nazi Germany winning or not, it would still be the same. Perhaps slightly worse, but Anyway, that's a topic for another day. Now let's move on directly to the main goal of the video. And as the title says, Germany could not won World War II, and could. How Germany could won World War II? Well, in the end of the second video, from Germany could not win World War II by potential history. In the second video, he explained certain parts that weren't explained properly in the first one, and some misunderstanding. And from vlogging through history, I forgot it, man. Talked about it a little bit, and I was thinking about that in his first video, but in the second video he discussed that, and it seems like we're all agreed about, all three of us. And that's if Nazi Germany wasn't Nazi, Germany could have won World War II. And they said like, from potential history said, if we were not gonna talk about it as Nazi Germany, not a different Germany, it's more like fiction and romance type of stuff, and that's where I am here for, because I found out there's almost nobody talks about that, so let's talk about it, let's discuss it, let's have a little bit of alternate history fun. Why not? Let's make some content. That's the main idea, making content. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe and like the video and everything, those YouTube stuff. That's the most important, to be honest, like really. Anyway, now let's discuss this fantasy idea. And that is, if Nazi Germany wasn't Nazi Germany. Well, in my opinion, it will still be called Nazi, but I would say let's remove Hitler. So let's remove Hitler from 1999. Let's say Hitler died in World War II, or the gas that he got damaged by in World War II blind his eyes forever, or something like that. Hitler dies in World War One. All right, and assume that somebody with a charismatic character and good at talking speeches like Hitler, or go to the the Nazi party is a labor party. It's essentially like in this background before Hitler. So let's say this labor party gets somebody who's like Hitler, will bring the German together, have some good speaking skills and charismatic character, whatever, all that stuff that made Hitler Hitler, but in a good way, a good Hitler, so to speak. But his name wouldn't be Hitler, of course. We said Hitler died. Somebody that actually blonde would make this Nazi party not so Nazi, not our version of Nazi in our real world, in our, not in this alternate history. So let's assume that it wasn't a bad Nazi. If we assume this, if Nazis were Nazis, well, let's say I will think the name will stay the same, but not the Nazis we know. If they weren't Nazis, like I explained, Germany as Germany. No, forget Nazis, Hitler and his ridiculous ideas and whatnot. Germany as Germany, with maintaining the assumption of how and the way how it happened in our real world, in our timeline. That's United States will join the war late, by Pearl Harbor times, so it still will join the war late, 2 years or so. Germany as Germany could have won World War II very potentially in this, if you put it in this way, in this within this model, in this perspective. Germany as Germany could have won World War II. And I want to explain something in brackets. Across history, there's something. There's a few things, but there's one something that stands out. Regardless of the age, that thing is always near the most important. That thing always evolves and always and will always be there. Tactics, the art of war. So if Germany would have to play a fantastic art of Sun Tzu, art of war type of thing, kind of if they had Khalid bin al-Walid, or Khalid as the English say, but it's Khalid, like if they had some Khalid of Walid, but Khalid wouldn't, not really would do agree with that. But anyway, let's have somebody who's as good as Khalid bin Walid, or Alexander the Great, or the Sleeping Dragon from Three Kingdoms of China. I always forget that guy's name, but he's fantastic. I would say he's the equivalent of Khalid bin Walid. And Khalid bin Walid and this the Sleeping Dragon of the Three Kingdoms period of China are the two best generals of all time. Not generals, tactician, they are the war gods, seriously, or the gods of tactics. I mean, the angels of angels of war and tactics. I would say these are the ultimate guys. Both didn't lose a battle in their time, didn't lose anything in their life, but never have lost anything, or almost lost even. So if forget Khalid, even if I had somebody like Hannibal or Julius Caesar, or somebody like what I call it, Alexander the Great, or Xerxes. Actually the Persians were successful in the Greek campaign, but that's a discussion for another day. Probably I will not discuss it in this year, so sometime in the future. However, anyway, if they had a fantastic, tactic, if they had a very good manipulative tactic, which anybody could have had, regardless of the technology and whatever you have, that one that has a tactic is actually the one that potentially will have the highest possibility of winning. And we see that across history, that a lot of nations have literally zero chance of winning certain wars, and they still come out on the top because of having better tactics. We see that there's some examples of certain battles. The certain one of the side of the armies are fighting are literally outnumbered more than 10 times, 9 times, 6 times, and still make it in the top because of better tactics. Tactics is almost everything, like literally almost. It's different from a scenario to a scenario, and everything is tied up with its condition. But generally speaking, tactics is almost everything, and very damn important, and can shift the battlefield regardless of the technology and stuff. Regardless of how good your technology is, always it can be used against you. There's this famous tactics of making the most powerful aspect of your enemy as their most powerful disadvantage. There's a lot of different tactics. Are very hard to do, but if you understand them well and you manage to do them, you can turn out anybody's advantage to a disadvantage. And this, not only you make them lose their power, but their power will be in the negative. It's double worse than just losing it. So anybody who had the better tactics would have won this easily. I mean, not easily, it still would cost a lot, but I'm saying like differently. But in World War II, actually, to be honest, not really that the tactics weren't that different from each another. Like the level of tactics ability, everybody was on the same field, sort of to speak. The only person like in Germany that had a little bit higher ability than the rest of, in my opinion, he's the best general, the best tactician in World War II, and it was Roman, the desert fox, or the desert wolf, I forgot it, the desert lion, no, desert fox, yeah, desert fox, that was his nickname. And I want to point out that Germany could have won easily the Battle of El Alamein, the two flags in Cairo, like in Egypt. They really could have won that one if just Hitler didn't have a paranoia. Oh man, this word always gets me. Didn't have some crazy shit with normal, the German commander there. He has like a problem with him. He has like he's always annoyed by him. Doesn't listen to him just because he said it. He's paranoid by him. Oh, I got it. Paranoia. I got it this time. Anyway, let's move on. And he didn't listen to him. Always do the opposite just for sake of being opposite to him. And he was scared that he would take his place. Yeah. Even forgot his name. Man. The Norman had the note that the Allies gonna land in Normandy. Imagine if Hitler listened to him, not to his generals. All the generals, I can put them aside and put this guy aside. This guy is more important than all the generals and officers of Germany in World War II combined, multiple times. He literally he pointed out to Hitler where the Allies gonna land in Normandy. Literally, word to word, screw to screw. It was exactly how the Ally did it, exactly how he intercepted. So imagine if Hitler listened to him. It would be a near impossible to make a successful landing in Normandy. And it would be a bloodbath, and any force will land and make some successful landing, which quickly would be massacred. Especially if Hitler would give him the tanks that he put in Paris instead, because he didn't want to lose them because of money cost of stuff, especially if he put tanks in the mix of the defenses. And this guy in leadership of them, he literally knew exactly he's gonna attack from Normandy, where most of the soldiers at the time were in Finland because of Hitler shit. So yeah, regardless of that, Soviet Union would just eat Germany anyway. But that's the thing. If Nazi Germany were Nazis, they had a big chance, with the assumption of, Nazi would join late, they had a big chance of winning World War II. Although, how? What's the scenarios they could have done? Well, there's so many potential scenarios they could have done. And I guess, the time let's make a second video about this, and probably even a third video. However, just before I leave you, let me give you a few scenarios, and maybe we'll discuss them later. First scenario of how, if Nazi Germany were Nazi, how Germany could have won World War II. Well, simply just tell the Russians, Soviet Union, hey, we have a common enemy. United States, UK. We were successful in France. Your country's big and powerful. Let's be cool. Let's be friends. This a little bit sounds childish, but if the two countries the two powers just say, let's put our differences aside, and just give each other a blind eye, and simply just, I leave you alone, you leave me alone, and everything's cool. Let's work together and defeat, the rest of the world. So if Japan, Soviet Union, and in this alternate time, Nazi Germany, which is that doesn't have Hitler from the beginning, no Hitler ideologies and all that crap, team up together with Russia, there's a high possible of collaboration between Germany and Japan, and Russia will fight on both sides with support of Germany and Japan. Dude, that would be the end of World War II. United States, especially with how far it is from the rest of the main field, I don't see United States doing it. Yeah, it's GG at that point. It's not only over resources and manpower that Germany and Russia lost will be used against the normal, what we call the allies, what normally call allies, UK and United States. Not only like those resources were used, they will be used against them, but you have a fresh Soviet Union. And that's GG at that point. Some of the I want to put in brackets, some of the scenarios here can be mixed to make other scenarios. So some of these scenarios can be hybrid together. So bear in mind that. So I don't want this to drag it very long. So for the next video and the video after. But let's give you another scenario that Germany could have won World War II. A very interesting one. Probably rest of the explanation will be in the next video. And that is, Germany could have won World War II without making even World War II. How is that? Well, bear in mind this idea. We're gonna discuss it in the next video. Germany could have won World War II without even making World War II. So see you in the next video. Peace out. Gate to Babylon, the gate to everything. Don't forget it. Gate to Babylon, the gate to everything. Stay tuned for the next video.